bang the guru bama zindi. Hong hong bang the guru bama zindi. 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 Bang the guru bama zindi. Hong 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 bang the guru bama bang the guru bama sindhi. Ong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Hong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Hong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Ong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Hong 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 ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Hong. Amitabha, 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 Amitabho, 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 Amitabho. Amritayu, 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 Amritayu. Amitabha, Amitabha, Amritayu, Amritayu. Amitabha, 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 Amitabha. Amitabho, 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 Amitabha, 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 Amitabho, Amitabho, Amitabho. Ong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Hong ahong bang the guru bama sindhi. Ong Warm welcome, everybody. The session is part of Being and Blossoming. This is practice we do almost every day, 6 days a week. And we meet for half an hour, 40 minutes. And today I felt like also live streaming this and making it available to other friends who are not part of this course. And so it's going to be a sharing and a practice. And I have a feeling that it goes beyond just my experience. I have a feeling that it's designed to trigger something deep in you, perhaps. And so in a sense, it's more like a transmission, an energetic transmission. This, in some forms of Buddhism, this is called an empowerment. So take it as you will. You can take it as information. You can take it as just something that Nitya is sharing, or you can take it as an energetic transmission, an empowerment. Empowerment is literally that. It empowers you in some way. It empowers you to live more boldly, live more fearlessly, live more in alignment. And I received this pretty strongly a couple of days back. And I felt I wanted to share it with everybody. Let's start with a minute of silence. If possible, for the next 30 minutes or so, if you can minimize multitasking, if you can minimize distractions, if you can be in a relatively quiet, undisturbed place, that will be helpful. If you can't do that, that's all right. Just revisit the recording when you are in a more quiet, undisturbed place, because there is something about being fully present with this process that's quite important. It's not something to be done while you're distracted and doing other things. Many years back, I started a blog. Everybody was writing blogs at that time. I thought I was a start. And one of the first blogs I wrote was about how do we even get started on this journey of self-realization, self-actualization, on this process, in this process of living more consciously. How do we even get started? And it was a very short blog. It was a very simple process I shared that step outside, perhaps at night when it tends to be a little less noisy. A place which is relatively quiet, relatively undisturbed, which has some significance to you. Like the image that I got was a place where you could see some or all of the sky, a place where, like the sky represents in a way infinity, isn't it? Looking at the sky, you can just keep on looking. Sometimes what appears as a star is actually a galaxy. So the invitation was to step out. And in fact, any of you could still do this. Step out in a place where you can see part or all of the sky. Like it could even be a clearing in the forest. And how do you get started on this path of what the mother called the divine mother? She called it the sunlit path. The sunlit path.
the adventure of consciousness. And you look up at the sky in this clearing, in this space, and you just say two words from your heart. And the two words are, use me, use me. And so in a way, we are inviting the higher consciousness, the higher knowing, the higher intelligence of life to guide our thoughts, words, and actions. So to me, that would be one of the most beautiful ways. Of course, we're never not on the path. Even before you say this, you are on the path. It took you something to get to this point where you would do a practice like that. So you're never not on the path, but there is a point where it goes from being unconsciously on the path to being consciously on the path. Like I would say from the time I was very young, I was on the path. I was looking for what is happiness in my own way. And I had moments of more clarity and less clarity. I had glimpses of things that really touched me deeply. However, it was only when about the time I learned Vipassana meditation at the age of 16, it went from an unconscious path to a conscious path. I consciously chose this path. Before that, it was more like stumbling along. I was some years back attending, forgetting it was 4-day retreat or 5-day retreat in Bath in the UK, in England. I was attending a retreat. It was a intensive retreat, and at one point, things really got very intense for me. It really things got very refined, and my energies really built up within me, and I had a kind of an ecstatic experience where it's very hard to describe this, but it seemed like I could experience how everything is in the right place, how everything is in the right place. And the thread of my life, the thread of your life, the thread of our lives, the thread of all things, it all is perfectly weaving together in this divine carpet, in this tapestry. And it was not a thought, it was a recognition. It was I knew it, I felt it. I could see how no matter what happens, it's all aligning. Everything is lining up. And it was like a bit of an energetic explosion that I had. And I saw how everything is perfectly fitting together in this divine jigsaw, in this amazing blueprint. And the sense I got is that each one of us is already, in some sense, following this blueprint. But like with anything, like you can watch, you can watch a cricket match on your phone, watch the same cricket match on a television. You can watch a cricket match in 4K high resolution. You can watch a cricket match from live from a stadium. You can actually be right. You can be there on the field. So the resolution will keep changing every time. The resolution on your phone is different from the resolution on a TV, big TV, a 4K TV, and so on and so forth. So the blueprint is there, but the resolution of the blueprint, the intricacy of the blueprint can keep on revealing itself. And this is what the phrase which you might have heard me say, everything is perfect, everything can be improved. Everything is perfect, everything can be improved. Everything is perfect, everything can be improved. What does it mean? This moment is perfect. However your life has gone is perfect. You might not agree with that, but right now, even that's perfect. Even you're not agreeing with that is part of that perfection. So everything is perfect and everything can be improved. What can be improved? If everything is perfect, what can be improved? Our recognition of just how perfect it is can be improved. So the resolution of just how perfect it is. And this is where the ecstasy comes, when in those moments when we glimpse the perfection of our life, that epiphany comes, that, oh my goodness, it was all part of the grand overall design. Nothing was out of place. So why am I sharing all of this? Because I want us today, in today's session, to more consciously align with this blueprint, to more consciously and intentionally align our thoughts, words, and actions with this blueprint. One more concept I want to share before we get into the practice. It's the concept of the densities, which I find very helpful. Densities of being, densities of consciousness. I'm not going to go into a long discussion, just very briefly share the densities. So there are 7 densities, or in another way, you can say there are 8 densities. Density number 1 is matter. So that includes earth, the element of earth, the element of water, the element of fire, the element of space, the element of air. And these are states of being. So if you notice, earth is in a state of being, water is in a state of being, fire is in a state of being, and can be in that state of being for millions of years, billions of years. And so density 1 is elements. Density 2 is elements organizing in some form. So for example, in the form of microorganisms, in the form of simple living beings, in the form of plants, in the form of mushrooms, mycelium, in the form of more intelligent living beings, birds and animals and dinosaurs and whatnot. So level 2, density number 2 is plant life and animal life. Very broadly, within each density also there are countless more densities, but very broadly 7 densities. Density number 1 is elements. Density number 2 is plant and animal life. Density number 3 is humans. The humans have one interesting thing. We are able to look back at ourselves, self-reflect, in a way that perhaps the others don't find as easy. We can look back at ourselves there. What am I thinking? What am I doing? Is it helpful? Is it not helpful? So this sense of self-awareness, like for example, wild animals can't recognize themselves in a mirror. They think it's something very strange and confusing. Wild animals can't recognize themselves in a mirror. But recently, I've been seeing a lot of posts on Instagram and other places where pet animals can recognize themselves on a television screen or in a mirror. They can recognize themselves. This is an animal approaching third density, the ability to be self-aware. So when pets hang out, these animals who are living close to us, they hang out with humans long enough, they start becoming somewhat human-like. They start getting human-like diseases and human-like abilities. Like, I don't think in the wild animal gets depressed, but a lot of cats and dogs can sometimes get depressed if their owner are also depressed. So that's third density. Fourth density is, which we're all moving towards. Some of us actually already are operating, even though we're human beings, we're operating closer to fourth density. Fourth density is working at a collective consciousness level. So this is where, the power of we. And I'm sure at some point in your life, you must have had experiences where sitting together, meditating together, or having a deep conversation together, or chanting together, you had a sense of, oh, there's a higher consciousness here. This is the consciousness of we, the power of we, the power of love. So the upheaval in our planet right now is because, by the way, all these densities, you get to the next density by friction. So elements rubbing together for a long time create plants and organisms. Plants and organisms rubbing together for a long time creates humans. And humans rubbing against each other for a long time, you start realizing certain ways of being are just not helpful. In your relationships, in your organizations, in your community, certain ways of being just create so much of suffering. You have no choice but to move to the next level. You have to move to the level of love. So fourth density is love. Now it starts getting very refined, and it may be harder and harder for some of you to grasp, but nevertheless, hear it out. Even at love, we have somewhere become too much gone into the collective, and we have neglected our individuality. We have neglected our inner self, our inner guidance, our inner intuition. So the correction happens at fifth density when we come to wisdom. So wisdom is recognizing our unique inner impulse while still honoring the we, right, of the fourth density. This is the beginning of enlightened states. And sixth density is, so in a way, fourth density is I'm everything. Fifth density is I'm nothing. And sixth density is a combination of I'm nothing and I'm everything. I'm Shiva and I'm Shakti. Right? I am that which knows and that which is expressed. So in a way, it's a balancing of fourth and fifth densities. That's sixth density. So this is an important density for today's session because this is the level at which our higher self operates. This is the level at which disturbance in the audio. Should I repeat what I said? So today's session, sixth density, where there's the balancing of love and wisdom, or in Buddhism we say love and compassion. This is the level of this is the time, this is the point where we're reviewing our entire journey from matter to plant life to animal life to human life to collective life to understanding of nothingness. And now we're reviewing it back, we're kind of summatoing in Hindi, we say, just taking it all in back together and coming back to the oneness. And so the amazing thing is we are simultaneously at all densities. We are simultaneously at all densities. We're simultaneously, right now, we are matter. Right now, we have some plant and animal in us. Right now, there is humanness in us. Right now, there is love in us. Right now, there's wisdom in us. And right now, our higher self is also available to us. And so today we will invoke, because sixth density is just one short of absolute oneness, absolute, you can call it the divine, you can call it the Godhead, which is far beyond description. So that would be indescribable, but sixth density is still somewhat describable. And so you can have a face on it. So for example, the face I like to put on, you can put any face, but the face I like to put on sixth density is Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche. Some of you may like to put the face of Krishna. Some of you may like to put the face of Shiva. Some of you may like to put the face of, you name it, whatever face. It could be a being that is just one step down. It's like he or she is just one step down from absolute, the absolute, right? And that just helps us conceptualize. Otherwise, it's hard to focus on that. So we will invoke the sixth density, and then there is a specific invocation. Basically, it's the elaboration of what I talked about earlier, the two-word prayer, use me. It's an elaboration of that prayer. And it is a willingness to be guided, not just by culture, what the current culture tells us what we should be doing with our lives, not just by what we assume we should be doing with our life, but to be guided by a higher principle, a higher knowing, and in some sense to be willing to submit to that, to be willing to surrender to that, to be willing to trust that, even if it goes against a lot of our own conditioning, including our human genetic conditioning. So that is the invitation. So I hope I've been able to explain it to some extent. And I'm going to be guiding you through a process. The process will begin with invocation. I will invoke what I believe are some of the faces of sixth density as they appear to me. And as you hear me, you will also get a sense of it. And you can use any of the ones that I have invoked or any others that make sense to you. Basically, a combination of love and wisdom would be sixth density. And just to complete that formulation, so beyond sixth density is the seventh density, which is in a way, everything is one, everything is, you could think of it as the universe collapsing into itself, the whole manifestation collapsing into what we also call in physics the black hole. But the black hole is also the white hole. So which is why seventh density is also eighth density. The seventh density is the beginning of eighth density, which is also the first density. Because the black hole becomes a white hole, and the white hole is the beginning of matter all over again. So eighth density is the beginning of a new universe all over again. So I hope that wasn't too much theory, or if it was, then bear with me. Now let's get into our practice. Please take a deep breath. I'm going to put my video off now. Just close your eyes. Starting with invoking. I will invoke, and then I'll give you a chance to also invoke. Anything that resonates from what I invoke, you're automatically invoking. Dear higher self, by the way, everything I'm invoking is not just outside of you, it is simultaneously inside of you. So remember that it's not some outer thing that we're invoking. In a way, we are one with all of this. But it can help sometimes to think of it as outside support. But it's simultaneously inside as well. Dear higher self, illumined beings of all dimensions, ascended masters, rainbow body masters, guides, guardian angels, archangels, six density beings, bodhisattvas of the 10th Bhumi, Saptarishis, Mahatar Babaji, Ramalinga Swamika, Neem Karoli Baba, Sai Baba in all forms, Saint Germain, Arya Tara in all her forms, Padma Sambhava, the lotus born, Guru Rinpoche. Dear Lord Ganesha, dear Lord Hanuman, Avalokiteshvara, Sri Aurobindo, the Divine Mother. Go ahead and invoke any one of these or any other being that for you represents pure love, pure compassion, pure wisdom, the highest possibility in evolutionary terms. Don't just mentally invoke them, feel their presence right now. Feel their presence right now. Doesn't have to be so many, it could just be one of them, or just could be light. The light of your consciousness. Can you tangibly feel their presence with you right now? Make it even more tangible, even more real. They're really with you right here, right now. They're listening to every word, sensing your every thought and intention. Now come to the middle of your heart and feel an immense strength, an immense purity, an immense clarity, an immense peace. What is most original in you, what is most innocent in you, what is most potent in you, what is most limitless in you, what is most real, authentic, genuine in you. From that place, we will make the following intention. So from the middle of the heart, the intention. Dear higher self, six density beings in all their forms, please guide, support, empower me to think, speak, and act in ways that are in perfect alignment and resonance with the grand overall design, with the divine blueprint at all levels of resolution, the highest benefit of all that is. And so it is. Please guide, support, and empower me to think, speak, and act in ways that are in perfect alignment and resonance with the grand overall design, with the divine blueprint at all levels of resolution, for the highest benefit of all that is. And so it is. Again, speaking from the middle of your heart to that part of you that is just one step away from absolute divinity, which cannot be described. That part of you which is already at sixth density. Please guide, support, empower me to think, speak, and act in ways that are in perfect alignment and resonance with the grand overall design. It is short for God. The divine blueprint at all levels of resolution for the highest benefit of all that is. And so it is. Hum ahum bang the gur bam ascendhi hum. Ahum bang the gur bam ascendhi hum. Ahum bang the gur bam ascendhi hum. For those of you who are not yet on the path, you are firmly on the path. For those of you who are already on the path, you are accelerating at the speed of light. Recognizing how you simultaneously coexist at all densities, all levels, all dimensions. How you are not trapped by time and space and attachment and individuality and knowledge and skill. How you are forever above and beyond all such limitations. Unless you choose for a while to be limited. That's how limitless you are, that you can choose to be limited as well. That's how free you are, that you can choose to forget that you're free as well. Trust, release, and let go this powerful intention. You don't have to necessarily think about it again and again. It's a done deal. You can think about it again if you want. You don't have to. It's a done deal. It's irreversible. Avayvartika, irreversible. Avayvartika, irreversible. Avayvartika. Share with you two or three, more like four things. Four things I received recently. I'd gone to a cave of a Mahasiddha, and four things came to me. So these are some additional empowerments. Visualize a door. Most doors have four sides. This door actually has 8 sides. It's an octagonal door. It's not just a door, it's a portal. It's a portal to the infinite, the limitless. So think of a door with 8 sides. It's an 8-sided portal. It is very gently turning in one direction, but slightly spinning very gently. And you intuit that while there is a visible door, there's also an invisible door, which also has 8 sides. It's the same size, It also has 8 sides. It's barely visible or it's invisible, but you know it's there. And it's spinning in the other direction at the same speed. So we have an 8-sided door that's spinning in one direction, and then we have another 8-sided door which is not visible or barely visible, and it's spinning in the other direction at the same speed. And now the speed of both these doors picks up faster and faster, faster and faster, faster and faster, becoming really fast now, spinning in clockwise and anti-clockwise directions. Faster and faster, faster and faster, incredibly fast. Speed of sound, 5 times the speed of sound, hypersonic, 10 times the speed of sound. Faster and faster, without generating any heat, without generating any friction, it's faster and faster. Approaching the speed of light, quite unexpectedly. This door swallows you up, just jumps onto you. Each one of you now is a portal to the absolute, a portal to the limitless. Wherever you go, whatever you do, it may seem very mundane, but you're a portal to the absolute. That's the empowerment. Your very presence plants the seeds of the limitless, the absolute, the deathless. And so it is. When you look at yourself, you appear quite normal. But when you look at yourself from your third eye, the eye of wisdom, then you appear as the face of sixth density, even though sixth density can't be described. But there is a nimitta or a sign. So for example, it could be that you see yourself as Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, or you see yourself as Matara, or any other face of sixth density. Whenever you're doing anything, whether you're working or you're with family and friends, just a flash of this, a flash of remembering your true identity. Sixth density. You're a channel of sixth density blessings in the world, which is perfect wisdom and compassion. Wisdom and compassion in perfect alignment, coherence, flow. You're the human semblance of sixth density. And what is beyond is not only available to you, it is you. You don't see that as some strange land. You see that as your foundation. So what is prior to birth and after death and underlying all of this manifestation, that is not something you have to achieve. That is your foundation. That is who you are. All of this is a layer that's been added onto you. So you're not a stranger in this world. This world is a visitor on you. Life is a visitor on you, to you. You don't appear in this world at birth. This world is born and appears to you, and it dies to you. Figure ground reversal. You are the ground on which all these things rest. This is yet another empowerment. And finally, every now and again, being willing to experience your present experience as though it is being experienced by sixth density. So for example, right now, Guru Rinpoche is seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching these things. It's not Nitya Shanti, it's Guru Rinpoche. Every once in a while, have a sense that it is being received, this experience is being received by sixth density. Whatever phase of sixth density you have an affiliation with, resonance with, affinity with. Try that right now. So these are the 4 empowerments. In addition to the one we began with. The 2 spinning doors, which eat you up, swallow you up, and make you also a door. Even though you may appear like a human to others, you're actually a door to the limitless. Second empowerment, to see yourself as a 6th density being, even for a micro moment, every now and again. Third empowerment, to recognize yourself as the foundation, as the beyond. You are that. You don't have to become that, achieve that, deserve that. That would be a joke. You are that. And you can choose to forget. That's the level of your freedom. Everything is perfect, including your desire to improve it. And finally, seeing that whatever is being received by the 6th density phase that you have an affinity with. All of what I've shared may or may not make sense to some of you, and that's all right. Not everything has to make sense. It's nevertheless, it has been transmitted, it has been received. Even if you think it has made sense, there may be levels to which it can continue to blossom and penetrate. So it's a living thing, living energy. It's a living seed. Thank you all for joining me today. Minute of silence. Om Bendra Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendra Sato Teno Patishta Dridho Me Baba Suto Kayo Me Baba Supo Kayo Me Baba Anurakto Me Baba Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaramame Mansa Bendari Baba Maha Samaya Sato All right, everybody. Many blessings. Thank you for joining. Be well.